In this video, we're going to be reacting to some of the media from around the Tyson Fury Oleksander Usyk press conference that just happened. And I think that I learned some very interesting stuff from some of the things I heard Tyson Fury saying, the way Oleksander Usyk was acting. And I think that I can make quite a big statement already about how I think this fight's going to go and who has the upper hand. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Guy Called Henry. I'm just having my morning coffee, which is good. And I need it because I'm flagging a little bit today, I won't lie. But I've just been checking out the content from the Usyk Fury press conference yesterday. And I found it all to be quite interesting. Usyk coming out looking like Hitman from the video game, which is absolutely incredible. Not one that I ever really played, but I'm aware of it because it was such an iconic cover for the PlayStation, I believe. And just brilliant stuff. And it really instantly gave me a lot of feelings and thoughts about Fury, about where he's at coming into this one, and the role that he's sort of taken on in this dynamic between these two. Before I get into this video, guys, please smash a like on this one if you enjoy it. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, and get your comments in the comment section below. Do you think that Tyson Fury is looking a little bit mentally out of sorts and a little bit rattled? I know that he can seem erratic. I know he can be one way one day and the complete opposite way the next day. But to my mind, there's definitely something going on here in terms of their dynamic, in terms of the way it's playing out, in terms of the fact I think that Tyson Fury just feels that he can't quite get to Usyk mentally the way he did with other people, and he lost that first fight. And the reason I was so interested to watch this is because he lost that first fight. How is he going to be after a loss? How is he going to carry himself in the media, in these environments? So without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to have a look at the best bits from the press conference highlight video on DAZN, and then I'm going to take a look at an interview with Tyson Fury and see what he's saying when he's being interviewed one-on-one with broadcasters.
Tell us what is going on in the mind of the Gypsy King.
It's actually been about 4.5 years. Was the Wilder 2 fight last time I was the underdog in these fights. What's going through my mind?
Interesting with Fury, straight away, the very, very first thing he's referenced there is the last time that he was an underdog and saying that it was the Wilder 2 fight. And obviously we all know how that went. It was a career best performance. I think that was the best Tyson Fury we've seen probably in that Wilder 2 performance in terms of his physical strength, the way he got through the fight fairly unscathed, and it was an absolute destruction, the way he went in there and completely changed his style from fight one and from anything we'd really seen from him before, being a come-forward destroyer. Really interesting that that's the first thing that he's referenced, and I think that he is trying to look on that moment in his career as evidence that he can come back from a defeat and perform much, much better, because he's going to need that confidence. He's going to need to get that confidence from somewhere. And I think throughout this, we'll probably see little moments where you go, you know, that's him trying to draw on a positive experience to remind himself that he is good enough to do this. Because honestly, he's going to need that. People keep talking about how close the first fight was. Really, it wasn't that close. I think Usyk won very, very comfortably.
I'm just looking forward to a fantastic fight, you know. Last time in May, it was a fantastic fight. Oleksander won the fight fair and square. Just looking to put on a great fight again. You know, it was very close last time. He got it by a point. A little bit more focus, a little bit more lack of complacency, and I should do the job what I need to do. You know, it's nothing drastic has to change. A bit more of the same, a little bit more focus, like I say, and I will be victorious.
He's saying he needs less complacency. Nothing drastic needs to change. So he's very much putting the onus on himself, and the fact that his mindset wasn't right, but also the fact that he feels that stylistically he got it right the first time. And it's interesting because I'm not sure that's true, but equally I've not sat down and done my analysis yet. I will be doing a tactical game film analysis for this one. So when I've done that, I'll be able to give you with more of a certainty, a more of a educated opinion on how he could potentially go about the rematch. But just my sense tells me that he can't outbox Usyk. And I think that you might well see him coming out and box quite differently. He might well come out and box in a far more aggressive style than he did in the first fight. And that's what's intriguing about it, because we've seen Fury completely go in the ring and completely change what he's done before. That's why it's almost as intriguing as the first one.
This is my motivation. I don't have motivation. Only my regime, only my concentration. This is my motivation.
Usyk, a man of few words. I love how he's come out with the Hitman outfit. Again, I've mentioned it earlier, but that suit, the gloves, everything about it is just brilliant. And, you know, as I said before, historically it's been Fury who comes out dressed as Batman or doing some craziness. And to see him take on the other role where he's the more subdued of the two, it almost doesn't fit him. But then at the same time, he only does that stuff to try and get inside his opponent's head, and I think he knows at this point he's not going to get inside Alexander Usyk's head, and that's the key with all of this is everything Fury does in a press conference is typically calculated to try and get what he needs from the situation to make himself the more energized and his opponent the more mentally fatigued. And I think he knows because Usyk is so immovable mentally, he's only going to fatigue himself. Also, what Usyk's just said there, it's something I've heard David Goggins talking about before. Motivation is nothing, you need obsession. And I really believe that's what Usyk is. I believe he's obsessed with boxing. And when he talks about, I don't need motivation, all I need is my routine. And I think he said something there about his concentration. And that's all it is. He lives the life. He really lives the life. He enjoys it. He loves to box. He loves to win. He is genuinely about legacy. You know, never been more evidence of that than firstly when he fought Bellew when he didn't need to fight Bellew. I know that was a good payday for him and it would have boosted his profile, but he cleaned out cruiserweight. He could have gone to heavyweight, but he actually went and beat the last guy that was remaining at cruiser that you could argue had a stake to being the man. And when he's come up to heavyweight, I remember when he took the offer from Fury of 70-30 split, which was actually an insanely wide gap in terms of what they were worth. Usyk having nearly all the belts. I think Fury just had the WBC at that time. And it shows you he really is about legacy. So, fair play to the man.
The Tyson Fury side of the table, Eddie. You were there?
What is going on in this building?
How exciting.
Is this Eddie Hearn on my table?
You must have a chirp on me being on your side, I'll tell you. Thanks to Frank and Spencer for inviting me out. I do feel like a bit of a competition winner. Sorry, Oleksander. I mean, look, you know, whoever wins, I'll be nice and fair and honest as always.
Don't
whoever wins
worry.
on the 21st, I'll be on their side after.
That's quite funny from Eddie there. I don't know why he's been stuck on that table. I think that with Riyadh's season, they just want as many of the big promoters and faces to be part of their events as possible. You hear Usyk going, don't worry. I mean, Usyk could not care less where Eddie Hearn is sat. If they're trying to create a feeling of it's like everyone's against you, Alexander, we even got Eddie Hearn over this side, it certainly doesn't seem to be the kind of thing that would bother him at all. So I don't necessarily think it was just a strategic thing. Maybe it was, but yeah, definitely, mad how times have changed. Actually, just looking at that table on the Fury side, very weird. And Eddie will just be there to help boost Riyadh season's cause, I suppose.
God's timing is not late, it's not imperfect, it's perfection. So that was meant to be, and we're going to find out what's going to be meant to be in December the 21st. I believe it will be my time this time, and I believe that all things that happen, negative or positive, are lessons. We must learn from the things that we go through in our lives, and we can only do the best we can do as human beings and as boxers and as fathers and as husbands and everything else. We can only do the best we can do as men, and that what we know how to do best is go in there and knock out of each other in a fight and to put on a show for the paying customer.
That's very interesting there from Fury, hearing him talk about God and how God, you know, delivers what we deserve or whatever he just said. And because I remember in the first press conference, you know, I think it was Usyk said that God will deliver this man to me. And I remember Fury getting pretty irate and being like, God will never deliver me to you. And obviously that's not what turned out to be the case. And the way Fury's talking, he does come across as more humble. I say that now, but I don't believe it. I never believe in what I'm seeing with Tyson Fury, because one minute he's acting like he's the most humble guy in boxing. The next minute he's the most flagrant, flamboyant, foul-spoken man in the game. So, you know, you never quite know what you're going to get with him, such as his personality type and his character. But it was an interesting throwback to that first press conference where they're talking, there's this sort of God component. You know, I don't know. I don't know what Tyson Fury's relationship is with religion. I've got no idea. I don't know if I think I've heard before him talk about that kind of stuff, but whether he actually believes in it or whether it's all part of this, how he sort of packages himself, I don't actually know. Whether Usyk is a God-fearing man or not, I'd say he seems to me like he is, but hard to say. I don't know Usyk, and he's much more of a closed book than Fury. But regardless, I just thought it was an interesting throwback to that first fight, that first press conference. I don't know which one it was, if it was the first or during the campaign, but that moment where they mentioned God will deliver you to me. It's almost like, if you take literally what Fury's saying there, he's almost accepted that was true, that wasn't meant to be my night. And actually, he is speaking a bit differently now, because before he was very much saying, no, he only got the decision because of the war in Ukraine and all this stuff. If anything, it seems that he's come around to the fact that he did lose the fight. And I suppose that's a positive thing in terms of what his chances are going into the rematch, because he's going to need to accept that if he wants to win, because he's going to have to change a little bit, or a lot.
In the briefcase, Oleksander.
It's just character.
Go on. He's thinking about it.
You can decide.
Yes.
To confirm this is a photograph of the first fight, Oleksander Usyk is asking Tyson Fury to sign it.
That's great.
I look like Shrek in the picture.
That's brilliant.
It's a picture of me taking a big left hand to the jaw. It's a nice one.
Oleksander, if you'd like to show the camera, please.
You will find it tomorrow on eBay.
That's amazing.
There you go, signed and sealed from Oleksander.
And that is a very clever, interesting moment from Usyk there. Because Fury's been talking a lot since their last fight and trying to discredit Usyk's win at times. And I feel like that's Usyk's way of just saying, what happened, it happened, and you know it happened. And he's taken those photos over to Tyson, he's gotten to sign them. And the psychology at play there is just so intriguing to me because Fury, I wonder how Fury feels being made to sign those pictures or being asked to sign those pictures. I wonder how he sits there and how he kind of processes that. And it's putting Fury in that position where he doesn't know what's coming from Usyk next. He doesn't know what to expect. And that's making him potentially feel a bit more edgy and a bit less calm, a bit less relaxed. So very clever from Usyk. This is his press conference. He's got so much aura about him, Usyk, and he has that sort of mischievous glint in his eye. And I just wonder what Fury felt when that was happening. If he felt a little bit embarrassed, if he felt... I mean, I think the big thing here is he won't feel like the main character anymore in these press conferences. Normally, he is the guy. He is the charismatic one. He's the one everyone wants to talk to. He's the one everybody's looking up to and sees as the favorite and as the big man. Usyk is just subtly undermining that. And I wonder how that would play into the fight, potentially. I'm not sure. But very interesting stuff. And I just love Usyk. I think he's brilliant.
Oleksander Usyk. Probably not on my press conference list today.
That's Michael Buffer talking. So we're about to get a face-off here as we count down. About 10 weeks away, December 21st, Fury Usyk Part 2. Both men saying that this one will not go the 12 rounds, unlike their first one.
Okay, interesting stuff. I have to say, finally, that I'm disappointed Ade wasn't doing the actual press conference. I think he is the guy now for that sort of stuff. And as much as Dev is decent at it, I just feel like Ade is the man. And to not have him involved in that, press conference seems weird to me. I'm not sure what the story behind that is, but yeah, I didn't see him at any of the stuff. So I'd like to know what's going on there. And yeah, Ade should be involved. So I'm not sure what that's all about. I'm just now going to have a quick look at this interview with Tyson Fury here with TNT. We'll have a quick look at this. And I just want to get a little bit more insight. They claim in the title that he's tactically breaking down how he's going to beat Usyk. So I'm very interested to see if there is actually a degree of tactics to this or if it's just kind of waffle. So let's see.
Up on the stage about the need for everybody, basically, to learn from life, to learn from...
I think that's Andy Clark, by the way, and I absolutely love Andy Clark. Big up Andy Clark.
...that you have.
Yeah.
What would you say that you've learned from May? From May, from the fight in May and coping with it in the weeks afterwards?
The biggest lesson I've ever learned is always use protection. Always use protection and never keep your guard down low because you can be attacked at any time from all directions.
Interesting. So straight away there, he's made a comment which was meant to be funny or always use protection, ha ha ha. But then he's sort of divulged a little more information and said always keep your guard up, be ready from all directions. I wonder if Fury will use a high guard in this fight, a tighter high guard. And when I think about a fight where that happened, where the fighter didn't normally use a high guard or didn't always use a high guard, was Mayweather-Pacquiao. And Pacquiao had that southpaw backhand. And because of that, the shoulder roll was not a good choice for Floyd in that fight. Because obviously when you're an orthodox fighter and you've got a southpaw in front of you, if you go over shoulder roll, your backhand it's here, but if you are throwing, or if they are throwing, more importantly, if they're a southpaw, it lines up that backhand straight down the middle, and so you have to have a decent guard. You've got to have a nice tight guard. And so I wonder if Fury will come out similarly, but just add the tight high guard into his defensive arsenal and just look to that to be the default position he's in, because he got hit with some very, very clean shots in this fight, and had he had a better guard, maybe that wouldn't have happened. So it might just be that he looks at it and goes, I have to defend a lot better than I did. And he did get hit a lot. He did. And even in the early rounds, people were saying that Fury, they were close. I thought Usyk won quite a few. I think I had Usyk winning like 8 rounds to 4 or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. But obviously Usyk had that massive round, was it 9? Where he was nearly knocked Fury out, and a different referee on a different day, he would have got knocked out. So anyway, let's continue.
But what was it like to, I guess, I don't know whether you have accepted it, but to accept the fact that there is now a loss on your record? Has that been difficult for you at all, or mentally for you?
Well, I walked in when Andy Lee was saying that it was difficult for him when he lost any losses he had. But like I said to whoever the guy was called, I don't even know his name. He's not popular, his own guy. But Andy Lee never had 200 million in his bank, did he, to make him happy?
I don't know if that's another reference to the fact Ade's not there, but he's just, I think, is it Todd Grisham he's talking about, saying the DAZN guy is not popular? I don't know. But that's a bit of a weird one. Anyway, that's just some media crap, isn't it? But yeah, looks like Fury likes Ade as well.
Do you know what I mean? So to me, boxing loss, what do I fight for? What is my priorities here? What are my goals? What are my targets? And all of those things are to make the most money as possible. For me, that's my goals. It's not a belt, it's not a legacy, it's not a boxing fight, it's to make as much money as possible, okay? And to do that, I've got to have as many fights as I can until the wheels fall off this until I'm 50-year-old and I'm crippled on a stick like that, walking down the street.
I'm honestly so uninterested in hearing Fury talk about his motivations, because it changes every other interview.
You know, there's a lot of money to be earned, but for me, you know, I come from all, I come from nothing. You know, it's never been about money. I'm not a money person. I drive around in a 07 Passat on a 56 plate diesel. I don't care. I don't care what I've got. It's never been about money to me. I know a lot of people with money, big money, but none of them are happy. Not one of them.
And he always talks so adamantly like, this is how it is, and this is my motivation, and don't question it, and of course this is what it is. But honestly, it's ridiculous. One interview he'll say it's about money, one interview he'll say it's about legacy, one interview he'll say he's retiring next week, another interview he'll say he's going to box for 15 years. So you just don't know. You just don't know. And honestly, if you don't know, that means he probably doesn't know either. So what is his motivation? I don't really care. It doesn't matter. It'll just be whether or not he can be bothered to do it, whether he's up for it or not. We already know he loves money. That's an absolute given. There was a can of ferocity on the bloody table during the press conference. So that's not in question. The question is just whether or not he actually wants to fight and whether he actually cares about winning or not. And I feel like somebody who puts it back to money, who defaults to money after a loss, it's like when you're a kid in the playground and someone says to you, you play a game and you lose, and you go, well, I didn't care anyway. It's like trying to remove the importance from actually losing and that being part of your record and part of your legacy. It's okay to say, I care that I lost and I'm going to come back and be better, rather than just not face that feeling of being defeated and not accepting that it is important to you, which is kind of what I feel like Fury is doing when he talks about, oh, it's just about money, it's about nothing else. So, I don't know. That's just my perspective.
But Tyson...
Professional boxing, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
Prize fighters.
But when you were lying on your back against Deontay Wilder and you made that miraculous recovery and you got back up...
Yeah.
It wasn't money that was going through your head in those split seconds, was it? It was just that warrior spirit to get you back on your feet.
You don't think of money when you're in a fight, do you? You think of money when you're doing the business side of it. Yeah. When you get in a fight. When you're in a fight, you're in a fight. That's it.
So it's not just the money then that keeps you going?
You're thinking me mistaken here. When I'm in a fight, I'll die in that motherfucking ring. I don't care. Do you know what I'm saying? But before that fight, if the business don't make sense, I'm not interested. Right. But while I'm in that fight, I'm like a game American pit bull terrier. Right. You could chop my legs off like they do, and I will still fight on to the end. There's no quitting me. I can look in the mirror and say, the Gypsy King is not a coward, and he will fight until the last dying day, until they take his head off with a sword. I will still be trying to fight, and even after that, my arms will be going like that, and my head will be separated from my body, because that's the way I'm bred.
So it's not...
I like the fact that Andy Clark pressed him there to get that answer, because that's a much better answer. But at the same time, it's all very well and good being able to do that on fight night, but you have to be, whether it's motivation, whether it's obsession, whatever the thing is, you have to have focus in camp, in the build up to a fight, so that you can get yourself as ready as possible to perform on fight night. And that has always been the worry with Tyson Fury, that he can't maintain that level of concentration, that level of desire over long periods of time and in order to give himself the best chance in a fight, which is why I think he looked so bad against Ngannou, for example. And over the years, he has blown up and weight. You know, a lot of his camps have been fat camps. So that is what it comes down to with him. Yeah, he is a warrior. He is game as anyone when he's in the ring. But how does he treat himself when he's out of the ring? That is the issue. And that is what has just been highlighted there with that answer, really.
Looking at yourself in the mirror, has that person or the person looking back at you in the mirror, has that changed at all now that there is a loss on your record? Has that altered any sort of perception for you, altered the way you look at it at all, or is it still the same? I know me, I know my heart, I know my soul. Has it changed or has it not?
No, nothing will ever change the Gypsy King. This fella's got a foreskins win on me this much. He win me by a fucking point, yeah?
Fair.
So, you know, if I'd have went in there and got absolutely hammered and tanked out of there and battered, then, you know, I could have made a decision. Well, I got to change up here, I got to do something different. But, you know, could have went either way. At the end of the day, even his manager said...
When you fought Wilder...
That's just not true, though. It couldn't have gone either way. I mean, it could have in terms of poor judging and the fight being that close because of poor judging, but in terms of the actual performance, and he will know this deep down, Usyk beat him handedly, and it was an easy win for Usyk. It wasn't like the fight wasn't competitive. Every round, bar the wide ones, were competitive and hard, but Usyk won those rounds. So, yeah, he is right in that it might just be small tweaks he needs to make. It might be mindset, it might be fitness, but he does need to be realistic about that defeat. Usyk won that fight, and it couldn't have gone either way.
The first time I thought you wanted to give it a draw.
Exactly.
You were completely different in the rematch, tactically.
Yeah. So, when the fights are like that and they're close, they can go either way. You know, it went against me. It hasn't really affected me. It hasn't done anything because, you know what, whether I would have won that decision and I would have got another decision on my record, then like I've been back in Morecambe in the same do anyway, picking up some dog, taking the kids to school. Do you know what I mean? I can do that with or without a belt.
Every time he does this thing where he always reduces the meaning of things when it doesn't go his way. So he always goes back to, I'm cleaning up dog crap, I'm back in Morecambe, I'm living a normal life, so it doesn't matter to me, or it's all about the money, or it's trying to remove the importance from the loss, from the event that is coming up. And I think it's something he does just to try and take the pressure off himself, and also just so that he doesn't feel bad about the loss. And that is just a classic thing that you see people doing. Suddenly, things aren't so important when it doesn't go your way. And I don't know, guys. Like, I feel that it's a coping strategy rather than reality. I think Tyson Fury really does care whether he wins this fight or not. I have to say that. But in order for him to accept defeat, or rather, not accept defeat, but in order for him to deal with defeat, he has to try and tell himself that it wasn't that big of a deal. But we all know that's not true.
Did you think, reflecting on the flight, that you gave away the first couple of rounds by boxing on the back foot, and next time think, you know what, I'm actually going to jump on you from the first bell?
No, I'm not going to do anything different. The only thing I'm going to do different is not get a standing 8 count in round 9. If I didn't get a standing 8 count, I'd have won the fight clearly. So, you know, I just got to be a bit more focused. Here's the thing, right? I'm a very, very, very educated heavyweight boxer. I know it from inside out. So, if it was easy to walk Usyk down with your hands up like that there, walking forward, then that's Anthony Joshua's style. That's Daniel Dubois' style. They're big, strong men who walk someone down with their hands up and batter them into submission and knock them out. They couldn't do it. My style is slickness, jabbing, moving, slipping and sliding. Why would I give that up to walk forward like that with my hands around my head? It doesn't make sense. I wouldn't do it. So all I've got to do to win this rematch, little tiny adjustments. And I mean small adjustments. And that is not so much clowning, my hands behind my back, and I'm having a good time. Yeah. A little bit more focus on my job. Boom, boom.
More uppercuts.
Serious, do you know what I mean? Just a serious, version of what I already did. Not go forward like this or like this. Just boxing. I've told him what I'm going to do. He said, what's the game plan? I said, there's no change, mate. It was a nip and tuck fight. You got the decision. Fantastic. I'm doing exactly the same. I'm going to box behind the lovely long jab. I'm going double feinting, double feinting, body, uppercuts to the head, uppercuts to the body. But instead of doing this and this in between, I'll be focusing a bit more. Obviously, I know he can hurt me, and I'll just focus a little bit more, and I should get the job done. Simples.
That was very interesting from Fury there. That's the most interesting thing I've heard the whole of this. During the whole of this media event for the fight. And he makes a really good point, that Dubois and Joshua both are come forward, decent. Both of them use kind of a high guard at times. They mix it up. But certainly in the second fight, Joshua was trying to walk him down with a high guard. Dubois definitely has that style about him. And he said that they both got outboxed, and he's absolutely right. So in that sense, he's correct. It doesn't really make sense to box the same way that they do. At the same time, he thinks that the knockdown was all that separated them in the fight, and that's not true. Usyk would have won the fight with or without the knockdown, in my opinion. And I think in most people's opinions, if Fury had been given that fight without the knockdown, that's ridiculous. He did not win that fight. and he thinks it's just small tweaks, and it might just be small tweaks, But the big thing for me is that the first thing is he needs to be fitter. And I don't know if at this age, at this stage in his career, after the punishment he's been through inside and more importantly outside the ring, I don't know if he can get to that level of fitness. And the second thing there was, and Matthew Macklin just said it there, more uppercuts. Interesting, because what have we just learned from Joshua Dubois? Everyone was going on about, after Dubois-Hrgovic, Dubois got hit with all those right hands. So obviously, AJ's come into that fight, and he's gone, I need to throw the right hand. And he was way too liberal with the right. He didn't set it up correctly. And it was a shot that he clearly expected to land easily. And it wasn't the case because Dubois made that adjustment with his wedge defense where when he stuck out that jab arm, he got his chin tucked in properly. And so all AJ's right hands were just not affecting him. They were hitting the shoulder and going over his head. Obviously, AJ did land a couple eventually. But the point I'm trying to make here is that Usyk's team will know that the uppercut will be a shot that Fury is looking for in the next fight. And they will prepare for it. They will find a way of neutralizing that uppercut and taking it away from Fury. I'm absolutely sure of that. So it won't be as simple as just trying to throw more uppercuts. It will be about how do you set up those uppercuts? How do you adjust so that he doesn't hit you as much? And how do you get your body into shape so that you can do what you need to do for 12 rounds? If you can't do that, then I honestly think that Usyk will win this fight again and probably win this one by stoppage. Because Fury's not getting any younger. And I'm very curious to see how he approaches the fight. But we have no idea how he's going to do this. He might come out way more aggressively than he did in the first fight. But ultimately, whatever he says now, whatever Fury says, he is one of the most fickle characters in the sport of boxing. He contradicts himself constantly, and we just never quite know what's reality. So I take everything he says here with a pinch of salt, but it's still interesting to try and analyze and try and talk about because some of the things he said actually are true, but it's always mixed in with a load of crap as well. So it's hard to know what to take from it.
As for drastic changes, where I'm just going to go forward and give it 3 or 4 rounds and then lay over, nah.
Does that add into why as well? Because a lot was made in the last fight in the build-up as to your corner team, the team that shoots for the fight and things. You believing that the fight was only won on small margins on his part, and you don't need to make too many adjustments. Yeah. Does that play into why you? Does that play into why you haven't changed the team at all? You've kept it the same. You have the same beliefs. Everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, everyone's the same. I don't change a team because how can I blame my cook or the man who's doing the strength work or
exactly
a trainer?
What I said.
Do you know what I mean?
What I said.
It's like, why would I do that? I've got to nearly 40 fights unbeaten, yeah, through doing what I do. So I wouldn't just change a team because I did something wrong. I got caught in round 9. That ain't Sugar's fault, is it? I got punched in the face. It's my fault because 100%. I wasn't concentrating 100% at that given moment. I don't think I'd be needing to change a trainer. I like Sugar. I like his style of training. We get on well. To go to a new trainer now at this stage, that kind of 40 years old.
Was there anything that surprised you about Usyk?
The problem is that Sugar isn't the issue, Tyson. Your dad is the issue. He's the one giving you the opposite instructions from what your head coach is trying to give you. We all know Sugar Hill's a great coach. We all saw what he did with you in those camps, in the Wilder fights. We all know that he's a brilliant coach. And he was giving very different instructions from what your dad, John, was. John was the one who was causing all the circus in fight week, headbutting people and being a complete fool. So actually, that's the problem that you need to address and look at, not Sugar Hill. That shouldn't even be the question. We know Sugar Hill can get a tune out of Tyson Fury. It's having John in the camp that's bloody messing it up. So as far as I can tell, no sign of John today. So maybe that is a change that's been made. Interesting to see moving forward how that one plays out.
First fight, did he hit harder than you thought? Was he
No, he didn't hit harder than I thought. Being honest, as I always am, I tell the truth a lot, me, and I'll probably get in trouble for doing it as well, but it was
what ridiculous. I tell the truth a lot, mate. I probably get in trouble for doing it. No. That's probably the biggest lie he's ever told. Unbelievable.
Easier than I thought it would be. I was just said, I listened to Tony Bellew and I listened to AJ and that, and he said, this guy's so hard to hit, he's a matrix. So I'm thinking, this guy must be really hard to hit. I'm expecting to be missing him a lot. But in realistic terms, he was much easier to hit than I anticipated, and it got me a little bit complacent because every time I throw an uppercut to the body, a head or a feint, I'd hit him. So
okay, Tyson, thanks very much for your time.
And that final point there is absolute nonsense. Kidding himself if he thinks that Usyk was easy to hit, was easy to... That complacency was his issue in the fight. Just absolutely ridiculous. I don't believe it at all. And the only person that would help in any way is Fury's... Sorry, what am I trying to say? The only way that making a comment like that would help Fury would be if Usyk believed that Fury just got complacent and that actually coming into this fight, he's going to be so much better and so much more dangerous. I think Fury took it fully seriously. I think he was fully concentrated. The showboating in those rounds was to try and slow the rounds down, I think, to bring them to his pace, to create the illusion that it's easy for him when actually it's very competitive. Nothing to do with complacency, in my opinion. So don't think that's true. Anyway, guys, get your comments in the comment section below. What do you make of Tyson Fury's mindset coming into this fight? Did you love what Usyk did with the hitman stuff as much as I did? And yeah, predictions for the rematch. I'd love to know what you all think. Bash that like button as well, and please subscribe to the channel if you're new. We've also got the link for my Discord community in the description. But other than that, guys, I think this was very interesting, and I'm looking forward to covering this fight more in the coming weeks as we build up to the big fight on December 21st. And as I always say, on to the next one.